This episode is brought to you by Titus Talent Strategies. Titus was born out of frustration with the traditional recruiting model and a passion for a better way to do business. They took the traditional recruiting model and flipped it on its head. Titus is a people-first, performance-driven recruiting firm. They look at the whole person, the head, the heart, and the briefcase, using their hire for performance process, along with key scientific data points generated from the predictive index. Titus gets a 360-degree view of your candidate. Looking at all these components will give you the absolute confidence that you're getting the right person for your organization every single time. In fact, they guarantee it. They are changing the game of talent strategy. And if you'd like to learn more, click the link below. Let's get back to the show. Hello, everybody. My name is Roberto Jose Vendana. Here we are for the second episode of Coaching for Coaches, and we have Fernando Celis, professional certified coach, master coach from the International Association of Coaching, and we're going to be speaking about the new paradigm of making a living as a coach. Many interesting things that we're going to be covering today, and some excellent tips for you, the coach, to see how you can make the most out of these new conditions that have appeared a post-pandemic world that benefit you, the professional coach. So we are in the second episode of the first season, and I repeat, today we have the very fortunate to have Fernando here. He's a stand-up guy. He's completely transparent. He has so much amazing energy to him. So yeah, let's without further ado, let's bring him on.
Hi, Roberto. How you doing?
I'm
great
good.
to be
I'm
here.
good myself. Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And just a footnote before you do that, I'd love for you to tell us about the 2 books you've written as well, if you can include that in the intro about yourself, what you're doing and what's everything going on there.
Sure. And thank you. It's for me, I appreciate the invitation, and to speak about this topic right now about coaching. I've been a coach since the 80s, brother. I mean, I came into coaching to find a way out of an extreme introversion and shyness that was affecting even the way I was relating to people in college. So that's why I became a surfer, because you could just go in the water by yourself. I didn't have to deal with any. And in that decade, there wasn't much to find. Dr. Zimbardo, there were books in the library, but I ran into those infomercials of Tony Robbins. And I ordered the Personal Power Program. And when I listened, I said, my reaction was, I have to learn everything that this fellow is talking about. And that's how I went into this world where I discovered in the 90s coaching. So for me, it's very important, this topic, because we are living at one moment, which is the golden moment for coaching. I mean, this is the time to get in the game, because I've seen coaching grow since the beginning, and it's been my inspiration to the books that were most known by mine, which is The Executive Surfer, which is a novel. It's an adventure. It's part of a trilogy. It's about a fella that's not happy with his corporate life, and he gets a visit from a corporate vice president, and they're both surfers. So they decide to go surfing during one of the hugest swells in the Caribbean, and it has a lot of conversation and insight. And the other book is more academic. It's kind of like a textbook for our certification, our life and leadership certification, which is Life Coaching Viaje Heroico, the heroic journey of the coaching industry and of ourselves, which is where we are right now. I mean, this pandemic has taken everyone, I mean, wherever you cut it, to one of the key moments of the hero's journey. And we're discovering stuff, and companies are discovering stuff. So we got a lot to chop into, Roberto. Thanks again for the invitation.
Well, again, and now I'm going to drill into something you said. Tell us about the International Life and Leadership Coaching Academy, please. Right.
ILC Academy. ILC Academy started as a school to develop coaches for an online platform that I was developing in 2010.
Mhm.
So it started from a new paradigm shift, because back in the day, master coaches in the Hispanic community, I'm talking Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, they would tell me, Fernando, there will never be coaching online. That cannot be done. And I was like, dude, I
They were
mean, you're a
wrong.
coach. I mean, you're the guy that's
Wrong.
supposed to tell me anything is possible. And, of
Uh,
course, I didn't have the technology. Zoom wasn't that big. I mean, and it didn't
yeah,
work. So the school remained. At that moment, I was president of the Venezuelan Association of Coaching. And I couldn't sell the freaking program. I was trying to sell it, and nobody wanted to spend 9 days with me. Nobody knew me. What the hell is this? A certification? Everybody wanted these programs, and the certification. A certification. It had to be three-day weekends with a month between each one for practices, and nobody understood that until
yeah,
one day this fella from Margarita Island, Jeremiah Alvarez, he said, Fernando, because he used to send me over there for conferences and keynote speakers. And I used to do all this high impact stuff. And he said, Fernando, what do you have? Because I need to learn, I need to learn about these presidents. And listen, I have a life coaching certification, and who accredits that? I didn't have accreditation. I wasn't even in ICF or IAC. I said, listen, the Venezuelan American Society of Coaches, which I was president. That's our seal. And he said, well, I got 20 people. When can you come over? And that's how the first certification started. And to tell you the
wow.
truth, I wasn't even, I was thinking, I'm just lucky. This is a one-shot deal. I might as well make the best of it. 3 months in Margarita Island, paid expenses, the hotel. I took my surfboard and I decided to go out there and have fun. But what happened during those 3 months, I can't explain, but because it never stopped. I mean, one after the other. Right now, we are graduating our 107th cohort of the certification, the
100.
now International Life and Leadership Coaching Academy certification that is accredited by the ICF, and it has the license and accreditation of the IAC, of the IAPLC, of Florida Global University, and we've delivered it in Ecuador, in Chile, in 3 cities in Chile, Mexico, Puerto Rico,
Wow.
Miami, Orlando, Houston, Colombia, Venezuela. I mean, I I don't even ask,
Well, I
because it
mean,
has a life of its own. 37
yeah.
people, a faculty, it's fun. And it got me to Brickell, and it provided the resources to establish a company in the United States of America, which was my dream since I was a kid.
Well, congratulations, man. I mean, I mean, this sounds amazing. This is an amazing story. First of all, there's so many coaches out there who are from the coaching accreditation world. Who are either from the IAC or from the ACC or from the ICF or any of the. I call them the letter coaching accreditation bodies that want to set up a school and want to have a successful program. And I know that's not for today's topic, but I'd love you to come on one day and really, maybe talk about the top 5 things you need to really get down so that this can happen, right? And kind of your success story on that side. But today we're going to be talking about the new paradigm of making a living as a coach, which I'm sure has to do with that. But before we even start, tell me about if there's a new paradigm. If we're saying here that there's a new paradigm, what was the old paradigm, my friend? Can you tell us about that?
The old paradigm was, it was predictable. Leadership was predictable. Your career was predictable. You were to graduate so you could go into a company and work there for 30 years and get the gold watch and 2.1 kids that would provide your future. That was part of the dream. At the time where 1945 to 1965, human knowledge would duplicate itself every 25 years. And people, wow, look at the advancement.
Right.
I mean, from a few years here, the new paradigm is that this is inexistent. Human knowledge is duplicated every 12 hours. So anybody that's looking for, doing something career-wise, forget it. There's no security. You don't know where your company's going to be next year. I don't care if it's in General Motors or General Foods. I mean, your whole department's changing. Technology is changing. So who's fortunate enough to know how to deal with this phenomena, this real-time world, new paradigm shift, where there is a lot more that can be made, but it requires a different level of consciousness. It requires presence, focus, long game, long strategy, short term, adjusting. And,
Right.
understanding that perfectionism right now is the lowest standard that you can have because there's no space for change. And we as coaches, it's like we were set up for this from the beginning because, it's not like back in the day, coaching was very elitist. In fact, that's my
Right.
crusade against the elitist position of the deep philosophical thinkers. I'm a surfer. I'm master coach, and they get pissed off because I'm kind of rebellious, when they
Right.
gave me the credential master coach, I put in on Instagram and I put master of puppets in the background. But anyway, we
Right.
have been fortunate enough to understand these processes and anyone can learn them. It's
Right.
not about knowledge and philosophy and academics. It's about, your understanding that the world is going through a higher level of consciousness thinking where we
Mhm.
can be productive and get the resources, but we also will focus on our own well-being, and companies are following suit. So back in the day when coaching was elitist, we just coached the CEOs and the C-suites, and it was, with a suit and tie. Now platforms like BetterUp, $4.7 billion startups from Silicon Valley are
Correct. Correct.
hiring thousands of coaches. It's
Thousands,
a
and
moment.
that's yes, thousands, and that's something we're going to get into today because that has to do with the new paradigm, right? Right. To make a living as a coach today, right? How how do you get started, Fernando? So you're at Better Up right now, correct? You're a coach at Better Up.
Yeah. Yes.
So how about to all those coaches out there? Like, what's the first step they need to consider to even start gaining some advantage from these new opportunities that are out there currently?
Yeah, and I just want to be as sincere as possible. I like to refer like there was a series on the TV that I loved, which was Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad was this chemistry teacher that he opens a meth lab, and this other fella,
Yeah.
and they get into trouble, so they have to look for a lawyer because it's a money, it's a legal thing, and this guy's a teacher, so and his partner, since they're looking for a criminal lawyer, he tells him, listen, you don't need a criminal lawyer, you need a criminal lawyer. So they find this lawyer who's Saul, who was he was like one of these wise guys, these good
Yeah.
fellows.
That's like, this
But
is
anyway,
that
this it's
spin-off
the same
series,
thing
right?
with the coaching. It's a strategy of mine.
Yeah.
Coaching is not regulated. That means
Okay.
that anybody can go see John Maxwell in Orlando next weekend or see Tony Robbins and pull out and says, I'm a coach. I'm a coach. Hey, coach, what's happening? Anybody can be a coach. Motivational speakers are coaches. You can't say no. So if you look in LinkedIn, there are 6 million coaches that will pop up in contact. So let's go back to coaching. Coaching provides a space of reflection that generates insights, working with how the brain works, that at the same time elevates the person's energy, that leads them to a clearer view of what has to be done. That's achieved through coaching. That's achieved because of the listening, because of the deep reflection, because of the questions. A professional coach knows that that is what's going to happen. When that happens, the companies see that their productivity rises.
Yeah.
So that's why companies are investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in coaching programs, because it affects the bottom line. That can only be achieved by these coaches that have been trained in that. A guy that just went to the UPW and Tony Robbins, it's not going to work. He's not going to have the expertise to understand what Tony does, because there's a training involved. Okay, step one. So 6 million coaches, how do I get in? Fortunately for some, or unfortunately for others, there are associations and federations where coaches have to comply to a code of ethics and a series of rigorous processes that are a pain in the butt, but that can give you those 3 letters. Those
Right.
3 letters indicate that you have been trained. But it doesn't stop there. Since companies now in Silicon Valley lives on data, when the companies see the results that they want, they go do a reverse engineering and say, hey, who provided this service? And they see it's Helen Johnson, PCC, John Peter, ACC. What is this ACC, PCC? Oh, they're from the International Coaching Federation.
Right.
So if you go in and you can get your ACC, if you're a coach in 4 months, look, I'll tell you from the street, you get a good mentor, you do your practices, you send your stuff, and you go through portfolio, you'll get a response. With the ACC, man, you're in. And now all you have to do is coach your butt off, because coaching is learned in the activity coaching. No, I don't have clients. Dude, go to the school, offer volunteer at your son's school, to your church, to the Toastmasters, the Masons, the Lions, all these organizations around. That's where you start. And you only need one client. You only need to nail one paying customer. That's all you need. And I know that you're going to give you so much heart that that guy is going to refer you to 2 more. And that's how you begin. And suddenly, you're booked, and you're free doing what you love, which is this conversations.
Com- coaching, beautiful, right? Like you said, it's really about getting practical, and going right at it, right? So if it's getting one of these designations, that's the first step, right? In summary, go get one of these
Yeah,
designations,
and
go
you
into
know what
the
happens? These designations, man, to get a PCC, you really had to work it. You had to go through practices and you had
absolutely
to listen. And the mentor said, Fernando, you know, eh, you're not there yet. It's kind of frustrating because you have to demonstrate minimum perfection of the demonstration
of
of these
the markers.
competencies and markers.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if
yeah.
you know that, you know,
I
you
mean,
can find a good person that's going to dance with you for the video. Because you know, I went ahead and you know, I sent actual coaching sessions, you know, breakthrough sessions. You know, the girl that couldn't find was afraid of dating, and the other guy that didn't want to start writing his book and stuff. And in the session they get these insights and the breakthrough, you know, they didn't go through because,
right,
you
because they
know, you
didn't.
have to show the
Yeah,
markers. So but if you learn the markers and everything and you do it, it becomes something that's ingrained in your hard drive. So you can coach with your hands untied, because that's the beauty of coaching. Dude, whatever happens between you and me in the coaching session, it's top secret. No, and you know, to tell you the truth, sometimes in a coaching session,
yeah.
this thing they don't teach you at school, sometimes you can make wonders for a person with just 3 words that are not coaching. Is you got this. Dude, you got this. Sometimes that means so much for the person. Why am I not going to say you got this? No, because Fernando, that's not coaching. No, it's
I mean,
understanding that coaching is a relationship.
yes,
And
yes.
if and that's the way I am. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go profoundly in these questions. That sometimes these questions are, sometimes you go Hannibal Lecter with a
Fernando, you bring
question.
up something important. I think, the ICF. Yeah, I have my PCC, right, and the same thing. I sent these recordings saying this was an amazing session, and the feedback I get was, yes, it was an amazing session. Yes, your client got amazing value, but we're not evaluating that. We're evaluating you and how you express the PCC markers. That's what I got back, and that's why you're not passing.
That's
You're
why you better call
nope.
Saul, because
Right, exactly. So
Saul is going to
that's why
tell
you need
you,
a
you know,
mentor, right? That's why you need to work with a mentor. But what I was getting at here, and now that I have my PCC, but I'll make 2 comments. Number one, about that, the more you understand the basics, I think the PCC and the ICF, let's say, maturity of stages of coaching mastery is an important part, because that's when you start getting your own feel. That's when you start putting your own secret sauce as a coach. You start feeling comfortable, and you have to work within some parameters how to open, middle, and close the session, because that's what
yeah.
PCC is about, doing it to the letter. But in the middle, man, you got a lot of wiggle room. If you're going to say, hey, you got this, if that shows up in the session as
Oh,
powerful,
that's
do
count.
it.
Yeah.
And it's
But you
confidential.
know,
Yeah, yeah, you get my point, right?
I just finished the PCC assessor, and you know, and I'd like to also talk about the CMC and the MC of the IAC, because IAC and
Okay.
ICF were born out of the same person, Thomas Leonard. Thomas Leonard, he kind of, after he founded ICF, he got into there was kind of friction between him and Laura Whitworth. So he relegated, he couldn't come back. So he developed this IAC thing, which has 9 masteries and that we take in account. And it's kind of like the heart, where the competencies are more the mind. So when you put them together, you know, you kind of have a more poetic way of demonstrating masterful coaching. And I think that both are rigorous. But this process of PCC, of getting that differential, has to be, well thought. You have to find a good partner. You got to understand that the partner has to permit you demonstrate all these markers that correspond
Right.
to competency development. And yes, there is room for a you got this, because even though it's facilitating, it also complies to competency 7, evoke awareness. And it says on the numeral 11, the coach can provide insights, thoughts, reflections, and feelings
Right.
about what the client is saying without judgment or bias. So it's okay to say, you
Well,
got this.
yeah,
I think
yeah. It
new
used to be called.
paradigm has to open up.
Yeah. In the old competencies, it used to be called direct communication. You can, in the session, if you want to say you got this because it comes up for you as a coach, you can ask for permission. Hey, can I share something with you? Yeah, sure. You got this. Done. You move
Yeah.
on. If it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's what used to be called direct communication. Now it's obviously it's integrated within the new competency framework, right?
Yeah. But, the thing is that in the coaching world, there has been a sector which I call the fundamentalist uh, purists, that they oppose to all that.
Yes.
That the non-directive society, these guys are like, it's practically impersonal, no transfers, and come on, I mean,
Right. Right. Correct.
coaching has to have
Yes.
soul.
I mean, it's there are so many different uh, schools of thought around coaching. There are the people who are extremist, non-directive. There are the other side, which are a lot more directive, which are more like consultants, you know. And then I think the ICF kind of maintains itself in a neutral stance. If you
Yeah,
listen to the definition of coaching, it's very all encompassing, but at the same time, it limits, the definition of coach. It's very broad, but it also specifies some important things, right? But getting back to the point at hand, the new paradigm has to do with becoming an accredited coach. Obviously, here in America, in the American continent, let's say, not only in the United States, the ICF and the IAC are very prevalent. In Europe, it's the Association of Coaching, I think, and the EMCC, correct? There's the
EMCC.
ICC. There's so many around the world. Which one would you recommend, though, for this first step of getting accredited that a coach visit? Out of all the ICC, the IAC, the ICF, the AC, there's like five, six, or seven. Which one would you
Yeah.
recommend that coach go to first?
Look, if you really, really are hungry, you really want to make it, you can get into all of them. I get into all of them, but I'm gonna go with IAC and ICF. And of those two, even though the process, the IAC submission is as rigorous as the ICF, I mean, ICF is doing such a grand job worldwide that, you know, if you're looking to provide services of coaching to one of these platforms or any organizations, what's starting to pop out is preference ICF accredited coaches,
Yes.
because ICF has done the job of lobbying and developing coalitions. I'm providing also for IAC a conversation around that strategy. I mean, IAC must go and start talking to these organizations and telling them how their credential provides a solid framework, but they're not well known yet. It's it's very prestigious, but ICF is going to get you in the door, brother.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
that's just, and oh, you can take it or not. But what I well, don't believe me. Go into one of these platforms, and you're going to see a drop down menu when they say, "What credential do you possess?" And so the question you got to do: Am I in the game or not? I'm out of the game. Don't worry about it. You can get your credential. It's not that, if you know the right people and you know the right mindset, you can get it in a very short period of time. Some people are going to say, no, it's going to take you 2 years, a year. Nah. It's going to cost 7 grand, 6 grand. Nah. You just got to find somebody that can provide you service.
Correct. And I'm sure that's when the ILC comes in. You can talk about that at the end of the conversation about how some people can get so get that solved with your program. Now, jumping into the next part. So we already discussed that new paradigm has to do with, taking advantage of these new virtual coaching opportunities and platforms, but it requires this kind of first step, which is getting accredited. And you recommend the ICF and the IAC. The second point is, let's say once for all the coaches that already have that, right? How would you recommend they get their foot in the door when they go, once they already have that? Like, so
Yeah,
what's your
and there are certain skills that have to be developed in terms of your platform as a coach. You got to learn, you got to know how to sell.
okay?
And a lot of coaches, they're very deep, very profound, deep thinkers. They're, dude, but you're going to have to accept, you're going to have to face rejection when you go out in the street looking for clients. And the clients are all over the place. I mean, who needs coaching? These real estate outfits that are everywhere in every city, small and medium business, the owners of the gym, the teachers at the school. And there are government agencies that you can start investigating to get requests for proposal and coaching services. If you're a minority, we had a conference, South Florida, and Ebony Smith, African American woman, said she made her own school. She started going that route. She's responded to requests for proposals to provide professional coaching in organizations that have grants towards the African American community. The government is hiring. Washington, D.C., Mayor Marion just launched a career coaching service for all its constituents, all the citizens, providing
Really?
career coaching to low-income families. So they're hiring coaches, and the coaches have to be ICF credentialed.
ICF
So,
credential.
dude, I mean, this is happening. And look, you're going to have clients that are going to pay you $30. You're going to have clients that are going to pay you $3,000. It's just the mindset of clarity, of understanding that what you know, what you have, dude, is required.
Yes, correct. So that seems to be the standard now then, Fernando. An ICF accreditation or an IAC accreditation, that seems to be the
Uh,
standard. Yeah.
I'm looking at different ones. The ICF gets you in the door. The the EMCC gets you in the door. Your career gets you in the door. If you're a psychologist, they take into account that. And now there's another thing that's around, that's been around for a while, but could become something in the future more serious, is the BCC, the Board Certified Coach. That a coach that has had his career, his learning validated by a academic state-run thing, BCC. I know that in the state in Colorado, they're starting to take it into account because that means you're a college graduate. You have to
Ah,
have a college
yeah,
graduate for
I'm
the
sure you're
BCC.
a college graduate. I see. I see. And so then let's say you apply, right? You apply to these places. Any tips about the process of applying to these places? Let's say the people who already have their accreditations.
Um, you just gotta apply and have faith because a lot of these companies, and you got to do. It's like the stock market. These companies have cohorts, you know? So, for example, if you see you're looking at a company, you look in their blog, we just landed the account for, I don't know, whatever, X and X company in Asia. So we're going to be hiring 3,000. That's the moment to start applying. You never know, because when they have cohorts, they start hiring, and they need good coaches, but they need good coaches because the experience at these levels with these companies is mind blowing. I mean, you get to meet engineers, software engineers from different companies, government agencies, rocket building outfits, and you're amazed at what they bring. And the other thing is that they are looking at you as the savior, because even though we know that coaching doesn't tell you what to do, it's reflection and stuff, the conventional wisdom of the general public to a coach here in the United States, because I asked them, what do you know about coaching? And the response is Tony Robbins.
Tony
So they
Robbins.
expect Tony Robbins.
That's the
Huh?
reference.
That's a reference. So they're looking towards, I've had coaches that say, Fernando, tell me what to do. Give me some advice. I can't give you advice. I'm a coach.
Right, of course. And that's super common. That's super common that they would want, because they think the coach is going to consult with them or advise them to do something or other. Right. And how about to those coaches that have recently finished their programs or have had their accreditation for a while, but they want to quit their day job? What do you
Yeah.
recommend for them? They want to like dedicate themselves to coaching full time. What would you say to them?
I understand that, because I know that if that's your case, the people that are listening, you're passionate about this. You
Right.
gotta assume the role. You have to go out and let people know that you are a coach. You have to be in the events and the networking. Law of association. You're going to generate results based on the expectations of the group that surrounds you. And in practice, and find persons to practice and practice coaching and become part of the active chapters, the associations. Show up, go to the conferences, you know, find people like-minded to you that have clients already. And I tell you, you're going to get your clients, and you're going to coexist with your job. And there's going to be a point that you're going to be making money on both sides, and it's going to be exciting. And one day will come that you'll say, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. And I don't have, I can quit. And that's your hero's journey from slavery to freedom.
That has to do with, I think, when you said I can do this, what is that? Personal confidence? Do you feel that a lot of coaches don't feel that assurance for taking that step?
Well, we're human beings, man. I mean, look, I'm in boxing at South Beach Boxing in Miami. I have I go to class boxing like that. He wants me to get into sparring. I don't want to go in the ring. I've never been in a fight in my life. But, I know that if I want to really become involved in this sport, I'm going to have to go for a sparring session. That means another student is going to be in front of me, and he's going to be coming at me, because I practice in a bag. The bag doesn't hit back. It's the same
Right.
with coaching. You have to go out there, and you're going to have to take the hits. You're going to have to find the places where they say, no, we're not hiring. And eventually you'll find a way. It's assuming the role. And it'll come. It'll come, because I believe that if you have these tools of expansion of consciousness, and if you do believe in coaching, and if you do believe that the world is going for a consciousness expansion, leaders will be required to provide the catalyst for change, and you're one of them. I mean, things are going to conspire to get you in front of somebody that's at that place.
Right. And you know what? I did check that in the ILC website, there's a part where people who have graduated from your program can set up their profiles. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got
But
the
tell us about that
profile.
in the sense of like how those types of uh like joining those opportunities, like, hey, I'll take your course. I'll up on your website. Will that help me get clients? Will that help me get traction?
Oh, well, what we provide in ILC Academy is the highest credibility possible. So you can expose yourself. Like our even our certificates and credentials, we have a service that provides digital verifiable credentials. So you can put them up in LinkedIn and the person can go in and validate you and see who the school is. And that gives you credibility. You're not going into a company empty handed. And that gives you the buffer zone while you pursue a credential if you want it or not. And we can give you all the tools so you can get your credential in less time and the less impact, because our 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 school is in Spanish. We handle the Hispanic community. And I love Latin America. And I love the Hispanic culture in the United States. But it's very difficult for a Colombian professional, to pull out 10 grand for a coaching certification. That's not going to happen. So we have to maintain our margins very narrow, providing the best service possible, and we make it happen. We make it happen for the Hispanic community. I think there's immense talent in the Hispanic community because it's a very passionate, culture.
Yeah.
Argentinian coaching, Colombian coaching, Mexican coaching, Miami coaching,
Yeah, you're in
and there's a
Miami.
public.
Wait.
There's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell us about where you're at. The beautiful sunny Miami.
I'm in
Uh,
Miami, or here and there. We got 3 blocks away from Calle Ocho.
$3 away
It's
from Cayo.
fun.
I lived in Miami for a while, and I miss it. I miss it so much. It's beautiful. Anybody who
Yeah.
hasn't been to Miami, please visit.
Oh
Go
man, it's
go to
changed. It's
Biscayne
changed. It's
Bay
beautiful. I mean, it's
Beach.
considered the coolest town in the world right now. Just some,
It is.
yeah,
Coconut
Miami.
Grove. Ooh,
Coconut Grove still around. South Beach is hot. Brickell at night. Wynwood, the design district. There's a lot of people who are coming in from California, New York, Philadelphia. Because the remote work provides people that they can come and so the city adapts to. I just chill out here. I'm here in Brickell. I like the beach. I go to my boxing gym in South Beach, and it's
now,
good,
I
and
was
it's provided by coaching. Listen, I began ILC Academy from the rooftop of a building in Caracas, Venezuela, with a dream and just a passion for doing stuff in the computer. That's how it
now
began.
I wanted to ask you something about that. If just off the top of your head, if somebody were to have the opportunity to go live in the United States in one of the major cities and wanted to make it as a coach, where would you recommend they go of the United States?
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. So
San
basically,
Francisco. If you hit it in there, I mean, these guys are hiring coach. Well, Better Up, Alexi Rubishaw. That's why you go into Better Up, you'll see all these clients that are, these guys, there's that crowd, Musk and Dorsey, and they're all together. So these guys providing coaching, and that's why you have major corporations are getting it, and they're coming in for, but you don't have to live in San Jose or in San Francisco, because right now everything's remote. It's a good place to be because you're going to be close to everything. Washington
right.
D.C. has the highest number of coaches ICF. The
Oh, really?
South Florida chapter of ICF here in South Florida is beautiful. I mean, we have a diverse crew of people that are, so you can become a member and just see what's happening. And if you get into Better Up, the community of coaches, and it's about being with like-minded spirits.
Of course, man. We've covered so much stuff, all the way from starting about first thing to get your foot in the door is an accreditation. You have a program that can help people with that. Number two, when applying, understand that there are different. It has to do with the needs of the company, right? So you might apply, you might be a great fit, even if you don't get a response, and you might get asked to come in 5, 6 months later. So don't lose hope, right? I think that's the message. If you
Yeah.
apply and you're in the process, don't lose hope. It just might be that they don't have a cohort coming in at that time, correct? And then the second thing, the third thing we were talking about is, well, just go out there and get clients, right? Do some pro bono. Go into the chamber of commerce in your city. So start moving and identify yourself as a coach, but go out there because a lot of people right now are in their homes, right? They're on LinkedIn all day trying to make it work. No, what would you recommend? An analog approach, old school, like go out there, or go into your computer out there? Like go into the cyber world to look for work, or go into the real world? What's your preference?
Everything's the real world. Old school, new school.
Okay.
LinkedIn, barter coaching, chapters, South Florida office, barter coaching, going out there, going to the network, seeing, I'm Fernando Celis, I do coaching. How does that with the guy, with the Uber driver, when you go to church, when you go to the supermarket? I mean, make it part of the conversation, go when you go to a party. I mean, and doing your diligent investigation, coaching, start bleeding coaching, and then you aim up. I mean, we are coaches. Our whole industry is based on your dreams and your goals,
Correct.
and make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. So, and to close, my friend, how would you like to close this conversation with all we've talked about?
Be aware of the signs that the world is giving you,
Okay.
and understand that there's a purpose why you went through the process of becoming a coach. There's a calling, there's a call to adventure. And if you're not making it as a coach, is because you haven't responded the call. Responding the call to adventure is surrendering to the life that you want to live as a coach. There are going to be ups and downs, but it's the long game that's
So
going to make a
respond.
change in
Let
your
me repeat
life.
that because that's very powerful. That's very powerful what you just said. Number one, it's very. I'm super shocked and surprised in a good way that you just said that. If you got into becoming a coach and you don't feel that you're making it as you would want, you have to listen for signs for the call. This has to do with the hero's journey because I'm familiar with the hero's journey, the call to adventure, right? Like when Frodo got picked up by the wizard
Yeah,
to go, get
yeah,
the ring from the dragon or whatever.
absolutely.
Right. So go out. Did Frodo stay at home? No, he went off
No,
with the wizard. I don't even know their names.
I
Gandalf.
know. It's like Dagobah. Luke, if he would have stayed in Dagobah with Yoda, there would have been a story.
So be the hero of your own journey. Like if you're stuck in your house saying, "Hey, I want to be a coach. I want to have more clients. I want to go into these platforms." You can't do it when you're just like in your own comfort zone. What you're
Yeah,
saying is look for signs, right? And respond to the signs. Go out for the call. Be your authentic self, and have, I don't know, man. That's
yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
I know
you,
there's
man.
a lot of coaches that can listen to that. And so right in the description of the video, you'll be able to get in touch with Fernando, would be in touch with the academy and everything they have to offer. Do you have any cohorts coming soon, my friend? Is there a cohort open already?
Yeah, there's a cohort starting on 26th, cohort 108, which is the 26th online. And then if you're a coach, we have the master life coaching program in October. The 1st of October starts. Those two cohorts are the last ones of the year. They finish next year, but it's a good place to start. It's in Spanish, and in 2023 we're going to have everything in English.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for the English speaking community, I always close with this question. What is an amazing but true fact about you? Bing, ding.
Me, a true fact about me, I'm
Amazing.
shy.
Amazing, but true.
I'm
Right?
introverted and shy.
Really?
Huh.
Wow. Like, in no way, shape, or form would anybody who meets you would think that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's a bold claim, but at least from my
Oh,
perspective,
man.
let's say from my
So
perspective,
I'm always, I got the inner critic like everybody else. I get the imposter syndrome like everybody else. But I don't
but
know. There's a certain surrendering,
yeah,
There's things work out.
obviously, my friend, they do in your case and in many other cases, but you saw the signs and went out on the call for adventure. I'm
Mm,
sure.
yeah,
All right,
many
man. Well,
times. Well,
yeah,
thank you, Roberto.
my friend. It's been great. We went out for 50 minutes, almost an
Yeah,
hour,
no,
man.
thank you.
It's
Go
been
and vaya
amazing.
con Dios.
Vaya con Dios. I'm going to see you again. I want to have you again on the show. And well, everybody, thank you so much. Say goodbye to Fernando. Goodbye, Fernando. And
Bye.
hope to have him on the show again, man. Um, and thank you, everybody, for being on here today. Our next episode will be within the next couple of weeks, and I hope to see you again soon. This show was definitely an amazing opportunity to talk with Fernando Celis about the different components and aspects of making it as a coach in the modern day, post pandemic. And well, just again, I thank you for being present here and see you next time. Bye.